Welcome back, folks. So we've got some mail to go through today. Most of this stuff is from China, at least I think it is. We'll have a look at it and see if any of it is potentially any good. Got here. Yes, some banana 4mm banana binding posts. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure how these would be. Okay, they don't have the holes drilled in them, which is a little bit disappointing. But they do have, they don't have metal inserts, but they do have double nuts on the back of them and a little solder tab. Yeah, these might be okay for some stuff, but they're not as nice as I thought they might be. So I put these in the in the junk category, but I'll use them anyway. Let's get a banana plug to see how it fits in there. They do fit quite nice. It's good and tight, doesn't fall out, makes great contact. So yeah, these were incredibly cheap. I think for the lot of them, I paid something like $5 or $6 Canadian delivered. So, you know, I guess you get what you pay for. We'll put these in the non-gem category, that's for sure. Anyway, let's deal with those later. Next up, we have, I don't know what this is. Let's open it up. Yes, an oscilloscope probe. This here is supposed to be a 500 megahertz oscilloscope probe. Notice the number on it is P6139A. That's very similar to the Tektronix probe of the same specification. That's the Tektronix probe right there, which is an earlier model of their 500 megahertz passive probe. And it remains to be seen how well this stacks up against it. These, when they were new, were several $100s, probably in the $300 to $500 range. I know the replacement, the P6139B, is well up into the $600 to $700 range. But this, however, was only $46 Canadian. And let's have a quick look at it here. Oh, I'm lucky that it came with 2 sets of accessories. That's nice. And well, the cable material is very nice. It feels very, very soft and pliable, even more so actually than the genuine Tektronix one. The probe itself seems to be fairly well made. It's a ×10 probe only. Take the clip off and have a look. Oh, it's very, very similar construction to the Tektronix probe too, with this sleeve here being a screw-on sleeve. This is removable, very much similar to the genuine Tektronix probe, although it doesn't seem to unscrew from here like the Tektronix one would. Roll that back together for now. This end feels like metal, which is very unlike your cheap Chinese probes, even though this definitely is at $46 a cheap Chinese probe. Sounds like metal. And it has the ID pin here to tell the scope that it really is a 10 times probe. 9 picofarads. Let's quickly see if we can get it onto the oscilloscope and compensate it anyway. Okay, so let's have a closer look at this probe here. These are the accessories it came with. We've got a pair of identifying rings in blue, green, yellow, and pink. They're the standard colors for a 4-channel scope. And we've got an adjustment tool for adjusting the compensation. We have a spring ground. Takes away some of the problems that are associated with a long ground like this, and makes the signal a little bit more, a little bit cleaner, a little bit less ringing, a little bit less inductance. And it looks like we have a short insulator too, probably for use with the spring clip here. And then you can screw this on. Move this ground, and then put the spring ground on. That fits tightly over that sleeve there, and then allows you to probe in where you can get access to a ground and have a very short ground, reduce the inductance, and get a cleaner waveform. Very nice. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using this on channel 2 of my scope, and we'll get there in a second. So it's going to be pink. I'm going to use these bands here because they're a little bit more vibrant than these. It's a little bit easier for my old eyes to spot. And I'm going to set that up, and then we're going to connect it up to that scope over there, and we're going to compensate it. Okay, here we are at the oscilloscope. I'm going to plug this in. I've got to reach around the camera here. I'm going to plug this into channel 2. And connect this up over here to the compensation oscillator. And we'll hit auto setup here to get us in the ballpark. Very good. Now you can see it's way undercompensated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the compensation tool here, turn this around so I can get at the compensation adjustment and adjust it. Do a fine or a coarse adjustment here. That's just about compensated there. That would be overcompensated. That was undercompensated. We'll put that there. And then let's expand things out a little bit so we can get a closer look at it. Lower this down, increase the amplitude. Looks like we're pretty good. We're pretty good there. A little bit overcompensated, I think. There, that's just about perfect. Okay, we'll do the auto set again. And now we've got a nice nice square wave set up here. Still a little undercompensated there. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Right, next up is this box here. I know what this is. It's a regulated DC power supply. This is the replacement power supply for our beginner's toolkit power supply, which was a huge big letdown. High accuracy DC regulated power supply operating instructions. Not a lot of information there. Okay, well, we'll check all that out. But right now, let's just pull it out of here. See what it looks like. Comes with a power cord. And these fairly miserable looking banana to alligator leads. Excellent quality, professional manufacture. Okay, it's a bit heavier than I expected. Well, there it is. Now, it's a very generic power supply. I mean, this power supply or power supplies that have looked like this have been around for quite a while, at least the last 10 years or so. And this one is conspicuously unbranded. So you've got separate current and voltage adjustments. You got coarse and fine. You got positive, negative, and ground. That's a little bit weird. Normally you would have the positive and negative together, 19 millimeters apart, and then the ground off to one side. So a little unusual. But yeah. Oh wow. There's a pass transistor on the back there. I was expecting this to be a switching supply, but it looks like I might see a transformer in there. So rather than just turn it on right away, let me have a look inside it first. This could be it could be better than I expected. So there you go. This is a linear power supply. Okay, next we have this, and it looks like this box has seen better days. I hope there's no damage inside. Looks like somebody noticed the box being bad and taped all over it. Let's get into it and see if I think I know what this is too. In fact, I'm pretty sure I know what this is. We have another user's manual. Looks just as good as the one for the power supply there. Now this is just a power converter or auto transformer to step up 120 volts to 240, or at least in my use. That's what I'm going to use it for. It can go the other way as well. Comes with a power cord. Let's just check this thing quickly to see if it did get damaged. It doesn't look like it did. It's far enough away from the mayhem that it may have survived nicely. So there it is. There's a 500 VA step up, step down transformer. So you can put in the back here, you can put in either 110, what does it say here? You can put in 230 volts or 110 volts AC, and you can get out 110 volts AC and 230 volts AC. So you have your voltage, your input voltage switch. We leave that at 110 for our purposes. And then on the front you have a 110 volt outlet and a 230 volt outlet. It's one of those funky universal plugs, so you basically plug anything into this and it'll fit. There's good and there's bad to that. And well, let's plug it in and see if it goes up in smoke. Now I just wanted to get this just to have some way to power equipment that's rated for 220, 230 volts, 240 volts. Just to have it in my lab. I do have one multimeter here that is 230 volt supply, and I will utilize this with it. So let's plug it in, turn it on, and we'll measure the voltage. Well, the LED works. So let me check out the voltage on my desk meter here. Volts AC. Let's measure that 120 volt side first, or 110 volt side. So we're running 120 volts here. And we'll go over the 240 volt side or 230 volt side to see what it actually comes up as. We're getting 240 volts out with no load. Yeah. Seems to do what it's advertised to do. So let's have a quick look inside this. I probably won't do much more with this other than just use it. It's not likely to be a tool of great interest or have a lot of specifications or anything like that we can check out. There's a very, very basic unit here. Very basic circuit too. Looks like we've got the line comes in, goes over to the power switch, goes back down here to this circuit breaker, then over to the voltage selection switch, and it splits off two ways to the transformer and to the outlets. That's all she wrote. There's not much to it. Looks like the outlets are stabilized with Oscilloscope, as is the switch back here and the power input. Fair enough. I mean, what can you expect for $50? This is a bolt-on ground. It's a pretty good idea. Not that people would be mucking around much in here, but it would have been a nice touch if they had, you know, put a little bit of heat shrink around these connections. I don't suppose it'll matter that much. They did. This transformer probably came with this protection on it, so yeah, it's usable, and I will use it. Okay, so here I've got the power transformer set up here, and I've got this benchtop meter, which takes a 240 volt, 220 to 240 volts. I've got that plugged into it, and everything seems to be working hunky-dory. Well, that'll be a handy little item to have in the lab in case I get anything in that requires 240 volts, and it's good up to 500 volt VA, or that would be around about 325 watts or so. So that'll be a nice little addition to the lab, and it sits there right out of the way, and it's yeah, I think that this is another gem for the 60 odd dollars that I paid for it. I can't remember now what exactly I paid for this, but yeah, it was around about 60 bucks. So I think that's one of the gems too. So that wraps up this edition of the mailbag. I think when I purchased this here, we've done fairly well. The only one that I'm really disappointed in are the banana sockets here, but I think they're usable. They're fine, but we'll put them for now in the usable junk category. The probe is looking really good. I'm looking forward to testing it out a little bit further, but from what I've seen so far, it's excellent value. There isn't much to it. It does what it's supposed to do, so I'd say that's a bit of a gem. I look forward to putting this power supply through its paces a little bit more and find out whether or not it is a gem or not. But so that one remains to be seen. So we've got junk, gem, we don't know yet. In my next video, I'm going to be looking at repairing a Fluke digital multimeter. So join me for that, and we'll see you then. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.